Did you know you have until midnight Friday to get in a submission on the English Language Bill, the latest in Winston Peter's inane cultural war on woke bullshit? Because some of his most vapid supporters on Facebook, and to be fair, Peters himself in Parliament, gets really upset when they hear the country being called Aotearoa, since Te Reo Māori is an official language, and that is the official name of the country in that language, and the Prime Minister is a weak leader who caved in on the topic. Or maybe he actually agrees with it and its underlying racism. The bill itself is actually really ridiculously problematic because ultimately it's not needed. It is, however, part of the broader assault that we've seen this coalition take out on Te Reo Māori since the de facto language of the country is already English, which from a technical perspective means 95% of all communications in this country are done in that language. This is a way for the coalition to deliberately undermine the official status Te Reo Māori was given 50 years ago in a hard-fought fight for recognition and against extinction. It's clearly a dog whistle policy designed to appeal to racists who are uncomfortable seeing a rising awareness and use of Te Reo Māori in public spaces and government departments. And why is our government bending the knee to racists? And it was the language of colonizers and a tool used by colonizers to suppress indigenous culture, elevating it to this status when there is no threat to its existence. Well, a lot of people see that as a return to those colonial priorities. On top of that, this is simply bad for democracy. It's a manufactured crisis and a misuse of parliamentary resources. The Ministry of Justice advised against the bill, saying that there's literally no evidence that English needs legal protection, and it's clearly a waste of taxpayer funds when we keep being told that we just don't have the money as a country. That's why we don't have pay equity claims going through anymore. But they also keep rabbiting on about how COVID money was spent badly. What do you think this is? This is a waste of taxpayer money for something that doesn't need to happen. This is exactly what expert advisory groups have said is this problem. It also erodes the power of official language status as a tool to protect minority rights, like sign language. Legal experts have said this move has the potential to set a dangerous precedent where the state prioritizes the majority over the constitutional protections of minority groups, particularly Indigenous minority groups. And let's face facts, it's going through because as a coalition they will keep telling you that they agreed to this in their coalition agreements. It's making our lawmaking process transactional instead of looking at the public good. And if Luxon was a tenth of the negotiator that he claimed he was and the leaders of those parties were really there for the good of the country like they claim, then the public good is what should have been the base of their negotiations, not culture war topics that just make them look like a bunch of miserly old farts who are afraid of change and will do what they can to stomp on it before people get annoying ideas, like not listening to them or voting for other parties. Then there's a range of clearly obvious but happily ignored big picture outcomes, like the message that this sends the international community. We have, until about 2 years ago, don't know what happened then, but until about 2 years ago, we had an international reputation for being progressive and inclusive as a bicultural nation, and this anti-Indigenous lawmaking impacts that reputation, which then has a knock-on effect on numbers of international students or tourists or highly skilled migrants. It also impacts social cohesion. Lots of people comment on my stuff about the way things feel right now, and that's because a lot of the social norms that we've evolved are being shat on by the coalition. Something like the Prime Minister agreeing to concede and allow this bill, and other bills before it, well, they become this clear message that gets sent to people saying that they're willing to accept division in society to the detriment of society as a whole to get what they want, the numbers to say they're in power. So if you want your say on this, head to parliament.nz and make a submission today. And remember, if you want less culture war bullshit in our politics, then vote for parties that don't use it to scab votes off gullible idiots this year. And to do that, you need to be registered before early voting starts, so make sure you check those details at vote.nz. Oh, hey there, podcast listeners. Thanks for checking out today's podcast, whether that's on video or audio. I really appreciate it. And I did finally get around to doing a podcast end tag, which I've been meaning to do for a while instead of just taking you onto the Facebook version. So while you're here, why not hit that subscribe button so that you can get updates coming in directly every time there's a new episode uploaded. Just seems like a really simple way to keep up to date with all of the crazy that's going on. So yeah, give that a shot and I'll talk to you soon.